November 29, 1970. A man is hiking with his two young daughters in the hills above Bergen, Norway, in a valley locals call Isdalen, Ice Valley. Some call it Death Valley because people have been dying there since the Middle Ages. They find a small fire that has burned itself out. Underneath it is a woman. Her face is burned past recognition. Every single label has been cut or burned out of her clothes, and when police check her fingertips, they find out someone filed them smooth, on purpose, days before she died. Before this goes back to the beginning, here's where it ends up. Investigators will find 2 suitcases she left behind, stuffed with 8 different fake identities, under 8 different names. They'll find a notepad, written in a code they eventually crack. They'll pull her teeth for testing decades later, and find out she grew up somewhere near Nuremberg, then France, then had dental work done on a completely different continent. And a police officer will tell a witness, in person, to forget he ever saw her, because, quote, she's already been taken care of. Nobody knew any of that yet. Not on the morning that fire was still warm. The woman is lying on her back. Her hands are pulled up near her chest, clenched. Around her, police find an empty bottle of liquor, 2 water bottles, an umbrella, a purse, a watch, 2 earrings, a ring, a matchbox, and an empty passport holder with nothing inside it. Nylon stockings, a wool jumper, rubber boots, a fur hat soaked in petrol. Every tag, every stitch label, every trace of where any of it came from has been removed by hand. The fire only burned the front of her body. Whoever built it wanted her found, just not identified. No fingerprints, no face, no name. The autopsy tells its own story. Her lungs are full of soot, which means she was still breathing when the fire started. Her neck is bruised. In her stomach, doctors count somewhere between 50 and 70 sleeping pills, more than enough to kill her on their own, and 12 more pills are found scattered near the body. She had been drugged and possibly burned, while she may still have been alive to feel both. 3 days later, someone finds 2 suitcases abandoned in a locker at the Bergen train station. Inside the lining of one, 5 folded banknotes. Inside both, wigs, stage makeup, skin cream, coins from 4 different countries, train timetables for cities she'd never admitted visiting, a pair of sunglasses, and on those sunglasses, finally, 1 clean set of fingerprints that match her own. It's the only place in the entire investigation she forgot to erase herself. Hidden inside those suitcases are 8 different identity papers, 8 different names: Genevieve Lancier, Claudia Tielt, used twice with 2 different addresses, Claudia Nielsen, Alexia Zarna Merches, Vera Jarl, Fenella Lork, Elizabeth Lienhauer. Every single form lists her as Belgian. Every single address on every single form turns out to be fake, except one. She checked into hotels across Bergen, Trondheim, and Stavanger, and once flew to Paris, switching names each time like a woman changing coats. Staff who dealt with her remember a guest who barely left her room, who changed rooms without explanation, who spoke German one day and broken English the next, who smelled faintly of garlic, and who was, more than once, seen wearing a wig she didn't need. No fingerprints, no face, no name. Here's where the story stops sounding like a woman running from something personal. Norway, in 1970, is quietly testing a new weapon called the Penguin missile, and buried military records later show her movements lining up, almost step for step, with those secret tests. A fisherman reports seeing her near the testing site. A shoe salesman in Stavanger remembers selling her the exact rubber boots later found burned beside her body. The taxi driver who drove her from her hotel to the train station is never identified. Not that night, not for 21 years. In 1991, a driver finally comes forward anonymously and says that on the ride to the station, another man got into the cab and rode with her. Nobody knows who he was. Nobody has ever come forward to say. In 2005, a man finally tells a local newspaper something he'd been sitting on for 35 years. 5 days before the body was found, he was hiking the same hills and passed a woman dressed far too lightly for the weather, walking ahead of 2 men in coats who didn't look local. She looked at him like she was about to say something. She didn't. He reported it to someone he knew on the police force at the time. He says he was told to forget it. Forget her, she's already been taken care of. This case will never be solved. On February 5th, 1971, they bury her anyway. Based on the saints' names scattered through her fake identities, they give her a Catholic service. 16 police officers attend the funeral of a woman none of them can name. She's placed in a zinc coffin, not for tradition, but so she can be dug back up later if anyone ever claims her. They photograph the burial itself, just in case. Nobody ever does. In 2016, Norway reopens the case. New facial reconstructions circulate. In 2017, scientists pull DNA and mineral traces from her unburied teeth and get an answer nobody expected. She was likely born near Nuremberg, Germany, around 1930, then raised somewhere along the French border. But her dental work, the actual fillings in her mouth, were done somewhere in East Asia, Southern Europe, or South America. One woman, 4 continents, and not one of them will claim her. Her DNA traces her ancestry to Southeastern Europe or Southwest Asia. Her passports say Belgium. Her sightings put her in a Cold War weapons test zone. Her only fingerprints are on a pair of sunglasses she forgot in a suitcase. She spent her whole life building a new name for every border she crossed. The only identity she never managed to erase is the one nobody has ever been able to give her back. No fingerprints, no face, no name. 56 years later, that's still all anyone actually knows.